Yeah, like,
Tell me how I can help you.
like they put this whole trailer out and they make him into like this like fucking Wolf of Wall Street type of character, and it's just like when you look like the charges are tax avoidance and possession charges, to which even Republicans I feel like should be upset about the possession charges, like the gun possession charges. It's so dumb. Let's get into the Hunter case, shall we? So Republicans have been losing their mind about Hunter Biden for like, I don't know, the last like decade or something. Because apparently Hunter Biden does things which seems like he's pleading guilty to some of them that are illegal. So let's go take a look. Let's see. After how many investigations and how often you have to hear about Hunter Biden, let's go hear what the big hullabaloo is all about. All right. Hunter Biden will plead guilty in a deal that likely averts time behind bars in a tax and gun case. Whoa, tax fraud. All right. President Joe Biden's son, Hunter, will plead guilty to federal offenses to avoid prosecution on a separate gun charge in a deal with the Justice Department that likely spares him time behind bars. Hunter Biden, 53, will plead guilty to the misdemeanor tax offense as part of an agreement made public Tuesday. What's this? Oh, okay. Let's see. Enclosed, please find two informations to be docketed criminal matters involving the above referenced defendant. 2 counts of willful failure to pay federal income tax. Okay. In violation of 26. The defendant has agreed to plead guilty to both counts of the tax information. The second information charges the defendant with a firearm offense, namely 1 count of possession of a firearm by a person who is an unlawful user of or addicted to a controlled substance in violation to that statute. The defendant has agreed to enter a pretrial diversion agreement with respect to the firearm information. The defendant is represented by Christopher Clark. The parties jointly requested that the court schedule a consolidated initial appearance on the firearm information and an initial appearance and charge of plea hearing on the tax information charges. Original executed copies of the memorandum of plea agreement related to the tax information and the pretrial okay. So that's it. It's just okay. Sounds cool. Wait, so it's just because he had a firearm and he's a drug addict? Okay. Okay. The agreement will also avoid. I just thought about this. If you're like an alcoholic, you're allowed to possess a firearm? Like, we do that for, I'm assuming it's cocaine, but not for alcohol? That's weird to me. The agreement will also avoid prosecution on a felony charge of illegally possessing a firearm as a drug user, as long as he adheres to conditions set by prosecutors. It's somewhat unusual to resolve a federal criminal case at the same time charges are filed in court, but not unheard of. The deal ends a long-running Justice Department investigation into Biden's second son, who has acknowledged struggling with addiction following the 2015 death of his brother, Beau Biden. Jesus, God. It also averts a trial that would have generated days or weeks of distracting headlines for a White House that has strenuously sought to keep its distance from the Justice Department. While it requires the younger Biden to admit guilt, the deal is narrowly focused on tax and weapon violations rather than anything broader or tied to the Democratic president. Nonetheless, former President Donald Trump and the Republicans continue to try to use the case to shine an unflattering spotlight on Joe Biden and to raise questions about the independence of the Biden Justice Department. I find that actually kind of funny because they have kind of tried to tie Biden to his son when you actually look at the case, like what it's basically tax fraud or like tax avoidance and a weapons charge while you're an addict, to which I'm not to say that those things aren't aren't crimes or aren't like bad, but like I feel like the picture they always try to paint, because didn't they do like my son was dumb as like yeah, didn't they do like a whole trailer? No, stop it. Is this the entire movie? No way. Yeah, like, all right, he does drugs, cool. Yeah, it's like, all right, my dude does drugs and drinks apparently, and apparently films indie films. Where's the, I know, is it, yeah, here it is. Is this it? This is it, right?
They told me you were VIP. Well connected to the government.
What kind of a moron forgets to pick up his laptop at a repair shop? You're a Biden. Act like one.
Everything he built, his life, I just ruined it all.
I want to know everything that's on that laptop that can ruin my erection.
My friends,
This is a
time
record.
to party!
Yeah, didn't you know? I'm taking control. I make an appearance and I gotta go. Cause I get them dancing with their hands up. Yeah, I walk in and they go bananas. I'm a bad guy.
Yeah, like,
And they're cheering my
Tell me how I can help you.
like they put this whole trailer out and they make him into like this like fucking Wolf of Wall Street type of character, and it's just like when you look like the charges are tax avoidance and possession charges, to which even Republicans I feel like should be upset about the possession charges, like the gun possession charges. It's so dumb. It also doesn't seem to be working. That's also the big thing, because I'm pretty sure you talk to Americans, like normal Americans, not weird like rightoids, and they don't care about Hunter Biden. They're like, he's not in the like administration, so what's the controversy here? Trump challenging President Biden in the 2024 election race, likened the agreement to a mere traffic ticket, adding, "Our system is broken." This is true. Our system is broken. It's also not the first time that a politician's son has done illegal things and gotten a slap on the wrist, when normal working people like you or I would be put under the prison for these sorts of things. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy compared the outcome to the trunk documents case, now heading toward federal, and said, quote, "If you are the president's son, you get a sweetheart deal." Yes, that is true. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, another presidential challenger, used the same term. The White House counsel's office said simply in a statement that the president and the first lady, Jill Biden, love their son and support him as he continues to rebuild his life. Two people familiar with the investigation said the Justice Department would recommend probation for the tax charges, meaning Hunter Biden will not face time in prison. But the decision to go along with any deal is up to the judge. The people were not authorized to speak publicly by name and spoke to the Associated Press on the condition of anonymity. He is to plead guilty to failing to pay more than $100,000 in taxes in over $1.5 million in taxes on over $1.5 million in income in both 2017 and 2018, charges that carry a maximum possible penalty of a year in prison. Wait, the max is a year? Okay. The back taxes have since been paid, okay, according to the person familiar with the investigation. The gun charges states that Hunter Biden possesses a handgun, a Cobra 38 special. The hell is that? Colt. Oh, well, that's kind of boring now, isn't it? Look, I mean, okay. I'll be honest. I don't really like revolvers that much. Like, I own one, but I own like a Western one. That's like, these are like, I don't know. These are like boring ankle guns. Anyway, for 11 days in 2018, despite knowing he was a drug user, the count carries a maximum sentence of up to 10 years in prison. But the Justice Department said Hunter Biden had reached a pretrial agreement. This likely means as long as he adheres to the terms of the agreement, the case will be wiped from his record. I don't know why that should happen. It should probably still Christopher Clark, a lawyer for Hunter Biden, sent a statement that it was his understanding that the 5-year investigation had now been resolved. I know Hunter believes it is important to take responsibility for these mistakes he made during a period of turmoil and addiction in his life. He looks forward to continuing his recovery and moving forward. So this is also the thing. Let's keep in mind that the problem here is not that Hunter Biden got really, I don't want to say preferential, but like very I guess the term would be like a very light touch for stuff that's, while not great, like nobody was murdered, nobody was harmed by any of this, right? Obviously the taxes is not good to not pay your taxes, but if he's paid his taxes already and that probably incurred some fees, then that's like he's already made up for what he's done. If they want to charge him extra for the whole process, then I think that's okay too. But the problem with this isn't that Hunter Biden got treated in a humanely way. The problem is that Hunter Biden is in a class of individuals that get treated like this, whereas you and I are not in that class. You and I would not be treated like this. We would not get these nice sweetheart deals. We would not get these this preferential treatment for nonviolent offenses. Regular Americans don't get this kind of treatment. This kind of treatment is only reserved for the powerful. And that's the actual problem. That right there is the actual problem. Not the stuff he did. The stuff he did, not great, whatever. But none of it's like super damning. Like what? Oh, you owned a firearm and you're a drug addict? How many alcoholics, have and own firearms? Like we don't, this isn't really something that I think is like unique or anything that's like super crazy. The tax stuff is probably the worst thing. But again, once you pay your taxes, as far as I'm concerned, you're pretty much done. And by pay your taxes, I obviously mean pay your taxes and then some. But like, yeah. And like the idea that like the system is broken. Yeah, the system is broken because only people of high status like this are the ones who get to commit these kinds of crimes, commit these kinds of acts and do this much damage in terms of the taxes, and just get to pay it off. If this was a normal person, they owed this much money in taxes. If they weren't like, the president's son, they get the book thrown at them because normal people get the book thrown at them. That's the problem. Trump wants to complain because he's getting investigated and indicted. But at the end of the day, bud, you broke a bunch of laws. That this is the process. Now, if he wanted to plead guilty to all of this, he probably could have gotten a sweetheart deal. But he's being very stubborn and he decided to not plead guilty. Like, this is your own fault. Like, you would have gotten a nice deal, or at the very least, a preferable deal than what you're going to get if you go to actual trial. The agreement comes as the Justice Department pursues perhaps the most consequential case in its history against Trump, the first former president to face federal criminal charges. The resolution of Hunter Biden's case comes just days after a 37 count. Yeah, like Hunter Biden's on like a 2-count thing, one for gun possession and the other for tax avoidance. Trump has 37 indictments. Like, it's very different cases against former President Trump in relation to accusations of mishandling classified documents on his Florida estate, a case with even more significant political implications. The indictment has brought an onslaught of Republican criticism of politicization, what's new, of the Justice Department. Meanwhile, congressional Republicans, and like, this is the lie, right? Like, oh, now the Justice Department is political. No, the Justice Department has always been political. The problem with Republicans is they only recognize a problem when it eventually hits one of their own. That's the actual problem. Is if Trump never got indicted, you'd never hear about it. You'd never hear about the politicization of like the Hunter Biden case. It's only politics when it's Trump. They say the same thing about the Supreme Court too. When the Supreme Court rules like against them, it's because there's activist judges when it rules in their favor, it's not because of activist judges, even though we absolutely have activist judges. Like, come on. Like, at the end of the day, the people in the Supreme Court are people, and they're appointed by other people from a similar ideological bent. Let's see. James Comer, Republican chairman of the House Oversight Committee, said the younger Biden is, quote, getting away with a slap on the wrist, despite investigations in Congress that GOP lawmakers say show, but have not yet provided evidence, a pattern of corruption involving the families. Yeah, we know. You guys say this and then have absolutely nothing to back it up. Democratic Senator Chris Coons of Delaware, on the other hand, said the case was thoroughly investigated over 5 years by Department Attorney David Weiss, a Delaware prosecutor judge appointed by Trump. Resolution of the case, Coons said, quote, brings to a close a 5-year investigation despite the elaborate conspiracy theories spun by many who believe there would be much more to this. Gavin Newsom of California, who was scheduled to campaign with the president Tuesday evening, reaffirmed his support for Biden's reelection. Hunter changes nothing, Newsom told the AP. Yeah. Trump charges came from a special counsel appointed by attorney Merrick Garland to conduct the independent investigation to avoid any potential conflict of interest in the Justice Department. Justice Department investigation into the president's son burst into public view in December of 2020, 1 month after the 2020 election. Wonder why? When Hunter Biden revealed that he received a subpoena as part of the department's scrutiny of his taxes. The subpoena sought information on the younger Biden's business dealings with a number of entities, including Burisma, a Ukraine gas company on whose board he sat. Hunter Biden sent a statement that at the time that he was, quote, confident that a professional and objective review of these matters will demonstrate that I handle my affairs legally and appropriately, including with the benefit of professional tax advisors. Clearly didn't. Since then, a federal grand jury in Delaware has heard testimony related to his taxes and foreign business transactions. Yeah, also, they make a big deal about Burisma, to which it's like, it's not really that big of a secret or really, like, hard to believe. You're telling me the son of the vice president and son of a future president got offered a job, a nothing job to get paid so that they could have access to the president? Yeah, that's kind of how it works. That's how our, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, political body works. At the end of the day, the people who get to talk to Biden aren't people like you and me. It's wealthy donors and it's people with connections. AKA the rich. Like, there's a class of people who get the ear of the president, and there's a class of people who don't. We are in the class that don't. They are in the class that do. They have all kinds of different ways to get into direct contact with the president through whatever means. Like, I don't like it, but there's nothing illegal about it. And again, if you wanted to stem this, then you would fix income inequality and, like, stem the ability for shady election funding. But we don't do that. Biden doesn't talk about it. Trump doesn't talk about it. None of them talk about it. The Justice Department Good God. Hunter Biden sent a statement at the time. Oh, right. We read that. Since then. Oh, right. February 2021, the department sought the registration of most Trump-era U.S. attorneys, as is customary in a new presidential administration, but made a point of noting that it was leaving Weiss in place as a way to ensure continuity in the probe. At a congressional hearing last August, FBI Director Christopher Wray confirmed that the investigation remained active out of the Bureau's Baltimore field office and said it was a matter that, quote, I expect our folks to pursue aggressively. Garland pledged not to interfere in the probe at another hearing in March. An unnamed IRS special agent, though, later alleged mishandling of the investigation in a letter to Congress in which he sought whistleblower protection. Let's see. IRS agent alleges Hunter Biden probe is being mishandled. Let's see. IRS, can I get a quote? The president respects the rule of law and Mark Little, an attorney for the whistleblower, wrote lawmakers Wednesday that his client has information about a, quote, failure to mitigate clear conflicts of interest in the ultimate deposition. Members of Congress, maybe? promised. Oh my God. Can I like see the thing? Let's see. The letter states that the supervisory special agent previously disclosed the information that they are seeking. Share the Congress internally at the IRS and the watchdog for the Justice Department. And in a watchdog for the little added that his client is able to contradict sworn testimony of lawmakers, quote, by senior political appointee. Concerning the Biden administration. Okay, so unverified? I mean, if there was any fire to this, we'd see some smoke, but it seems like it's just a guy. Let's see. Anyway, younger Biden joined the board of Burisma in 2014, around the time his father, then Barack Obama's vice president, was helping conduct the Obama administration's foreign policy with Ukraine. Trump and his allies have long argued without evidence that Hunter Biden's work in Ukraine influenced the Obama administration's policies towards the East European nation. Even if it did, so what? Again, this is one of those things where it's like, if it did, what is illegal about that? Or what's really weird about it? Okay. Years before the case was brought, Hunter Biden surfaced as a central character in the person featuring case against Trump, who, in an apparent bid to boost his own re-election bid, had asked Ukraine's President Vladimir Zelensky in a telephone call to announce an investigation into the younger Biden. Let's see. Republicans later sought to make Hunter Biden's business dealings in Ukraine a prominent issue during the 2020 presidential election. It didn't work. Oh yeah. Also, the idea that a president would call another president asking them to announce an investigation into their political opponent's son. You don't think that's honestly way more sus than anything Hunter's done. Because there's no it's not like, hey, can you look into this? It's I need you to announce it. I need you to make it public so that it's like bad PR. Let's see. In October of that year, New York Post reported that it had received from Trump's personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani, a copy of the hard drive of a laptop that Hunter Biden had dropped off at 18 months earlier at a Delaware computer repair shop and never retrieved. Also, yeah, how the laptop came into their possession is still incredibly sus. Story was greeted with skepticism due to the questions about the laptop's origins, including Giuliani's involvement, and because top officials in the Trump administration had already warned that Russia was working to denigrate Joe Biden ahead of the November election. No evidence has emerged of any Russian connection to the laptop or to he will emails found on the device, or to his emails on the device, I'm assuming. Yeah, so let's see, Hunter. Let's see. I want to see if somebody's covered it. Forbes, yeah, I'm sure. Breaks down the latest. Man, holy shit, they look so similar.
Let's bring in our senior White House and political correspondent, Ed O'Keefe. Ed, you're hearing from the White House.
That's right, Vlad and Marie, good to see you again. White House issued a very short statement from the President and First Lady just a while ago. A spokesman passing along, quote, "The President and First Lady love their son and support him as he continues to rebuild his life. We will have no further comment." So that is the official line, public line from the White House and from the First Family, at least, on this matter. We should remind folks the President is waking up this morning in San Francisco. He is set to hold an event with academics and tech executives regarding the future of artificial intelligence out there before attending fundraisers for his re-election campaign. He's spending the night there in the Bay Area again tonight before flying back here tomorrow.
So here is the breaking news regarding the president's son, Hunter. Hunter Biden apparently has reached a tentative deal with federal prosecutors to plead guilty to 2 minor tax crimes and admit to the facts of a gun charge under terms that would likely keep him out of jail.
$100,000.
That's according to the Washington Post and court papers that have been
filed. It's disturbing how much he looks like Joe.
Tuesday, June 20th, 2023. Hunter Biden, age 53, might appear in court to enter a plea on that. Any proposed deal, I'm reading now, any proposed deal would have to be approved by a federal judge. It's not immediately clear as to whether or not Hunter Biden might appear in court to enter his guilty plea. That's what was breaking right now. In a nutshell, that is the headline, Dana.
And David Weiss is the U.S. attorney there in that district. Leo Wise is the one who signs this document here that I'm looking at. Anything wrong with that? I'm sure we will. I'm hoping.
Minds have told us that.
Right. There has to be some consequence for that, and perhaps a criminal charge to be made against a president's son while he's in office. So we.
Okay, doesn't seem like. I thought Fox News would be a lot more on this, which, I mean, the late night shows absolutely will be. This is also fairly new, but yeah, like we'll kind of see where this goes. I saw Breaking Points covering it.
Breaking news, everybody. Just as I was about to do my monologue, this came across the wire. Let's put this up there on the screen. Hunter Biden pleading guilty to 3 federal charges. So I have the charges here in front of me. The information charges the defendant with tax offenses, namely 2 counts of willful failure to pay federal income tax in violation of 26 U.S.C. 7203. The defendant has agreed to plead guilty to both counts of tax information. The second information charges the defendant with a firearm offense, namely 1 count of possession by a firearm by a person who is an unlawful user of or addicted to a controlled substance in violation of 18 U.S.C. 922 G3 and 924 A2 2018. This defendant has agreed to enter pretrial diversion agreement with respect to the firearm information. The parties jointly request the court schedule. Okay.
Was he using firearm?
Yes,
and
that's right.
when it's Bender, he went.
Relate to here.
So in the midst of Hunter Biden's Bender, he went and bought a firearm.
Yes,
and
that's right.
when he bought the firearm, there was a form that he was required to fill out.
Shouldn't Republicans be upset by this? Like the fact that the fact that his Second Amendment right is being infringed upon? Like, shouldn't conservatives be upset about that?
Asked if he was a drug user, basically.
Okay.
Was he using drugs?
Right.
He checked no. He has said in interviews he left a crack pipe in a rental car.
Well, we have multiple evidence,
There's no question.
It's all over the laptop.
Yeah, there's no question that he was using drugs, and so boom, he lied.
Yep.
And that is the felony gun charge because by lying, he then becomes an illegal possessor of a firearm.
Yes.
They've agreed.
That's such a low
They're
bar,
going
too.
to allow him to enter into pretrial diversion, which basically says, look, you're going to take some courses. You're going to do some.
Like, I just find it funny. Like, I guess I don't really have a problem with the idea that like you're like a drug user and you're not allowed to own firearms. I don't think I really have a problem with that. What I find really like hypocritical is that what's it called? Is that like to a maximalists and 2A advocates don't even defend Hunter Biden. Somebody who like falls under the absolutely falls under the umbrella of what they see as, God-given legal gun ownership. I think there should be restrictions, and this probably seems like a reasonable one. But like, do 2A activists think this is an unreasonable restriction, or do they not? I don't know, because they're quiet on this one, and they're quiet because, let's be honest here, it's a Democratic president. That's it. That's the only reason.
Probably some community service or some probation, some other things. And if you successfully complete all of these tasks for you, you stay sober, sometimes you have to go to AA or NA as a result of these, then the charges might not ever actually be filed. Then there's the 2 tax charges, which are misdemeanors, which are willful failure to pay taxes, which suggests that it's not just as a result of his Bender that he had some ideas.
This tax investigation is one of the most insane things that I've ever read, because I remember covering this at the time. Hunter had $2 million in. Do you know how much money you have to make to pay $2 million in income tax? That's 30% of your income. So you guys do the math here. And that was just over 2 years. That's a hell of a lot of money here that Hunter found himself.
Yeah. Does Sagar not know how much money people hide in the Bahamas? Like, don't get me wrong, it's like shocking, but like it would his mind would fucking explode if he knew how much money these like billionaires are fucking hiding, overseas and in like Bermuda or whatever the fuck.
So it's good work if you can get it, isn't it, Ryan?
It sure is.
Yeah,
But
you
this
can
is-
buy
It's
yourself
almost
a
like
little
we don't
Malibu
live in a
mansion,
meritocratic
with your
system.
latest female love interest. The craziest part too is how shady this all was, because all of the tax
Is it?
was paid back, delinquent taxes,
Yeah.
not by him, by a Hollywood lawyer who apparently was just a friend and supporter of President Biden and decided the entertainment attorney, his name is Kevin Morris, novelist who earned a fortune representing, quote, the creators of South Park and the
Oh my
Book of
God,
Mormon,
that guy has
decided to
money.
pay the overdue taxes totaling over $2 million for Hunter Biden in the previous. The problem for him, though, is it seems that the IRS was able to basically prove, or at the very least was able to show you, that they were able to show, Ryan, that they had that he had willfully not paid that tax. So
he knew.
it wasn't just a matter of I forgot to pay the tax. That he knew he hadn't paid the taxes, and only after that he needed to pay it that he had to come forward and to find this $2 million, miraculously somewhere. I mean, this is the sweetest gig on the planet Earth. You get to make millions of dollars. I mean, you make so much money, you got to pay $2 million in federal taxes. And then when you don't pay your tax because you spent all the money, you go to one of your rich friends who's a supporter of your dad as the president, and he pays your tax bill for you. And presumably you'll eventually pay him back, but you never ever have to. I mean, what a good fortune that this man has fallen.
He's doing better than Meghan Markle.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Powerful people protect powerful people. What's new? Also, again, I don't believe this is illegal. It's like not good, and it's indicative once again of the same the same class bias. But yeah, this is how the wealthy get by.
Yeah.
But what's as important as what's being charged here is what's not being charged.
Yeah.
And this is coming after all the heat around the confidential human source that was relaying to the FBI back in June 2020 that a Burisma executive that said to be the CEO was claiming that Hunter Biden was splitting a $10 million bribe with his father,
10% for the big buy.
Vice President Biden. And Republicans have been asking the question, well, where is this? And the FBI has been saying, well, this is part of an active ongoing investigation, so therefore we can't comment on it. So it clearly they did not charge in connection with that with this bribery scandal that's been alleged. It also suggests that now they should be able to comment on it, that they can no longer say that there's an active ongoing investigation, unless there is another one that they're going to say that they have going on. But I doubt it.
And here's the other thing, in terms of the plea agreement and all of that. I mean, can you imagine what did Wesley Snipes do? Let's go ahead and get this up there, right? Like Wesley Snipes.
Yes. Prove to me that there's a two-tier justice system for even wealthy black and white people. Yes.
I believe he actually did serve a sentence here. So they charged that Snipes had spent fictitious bills of exchange for $14 million to the IRS. The government charged that Snipes failed to file tax returns for the years 1999 through 2004. The government charged him with this crime. He responded to this indictment in 2006, saying that he actually wasn't a citizen. There was all this other stuff. He was sentenced to 3 years in prison for willful failure to file federal income tax. Now, obviously, it does look like he went out of his way to, make sure that he didn't pay his taxes, and it was a little bit of a different situation because he didn't actually plead guilty. He was found guilty as a result of this.
Well, yeah. Like at the end of the day, if you don't plead guilty, then you're gonna take an L.
You and I was just at a gun show this weekend. You go into if I walked into there and I filled out that form and I lied, and I also didn't pay, if I didn't even pay a fraction of my income tax, whatever, and all of that to the IRS. There's no way.
Yes, we do have. Yes, it's called it's called classism. Yes, it's called classism. Yep. That is kind of how it works. Unfortunately, in our system, the more powerful you are, the more you can get away with, basically. The thing that they tell, like at the end of all YouTube videos where they tell you to click on one of these like things to watch more videos. Yeah, I've been meaning to film one of those. So that's what I was doing. I was just setting it up to film one.